Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today I'm very excited to welcome two good friends here into the studio in Dallas, Hugo Jacomet and Sonya Glyn, traveling all the way from Paris. Thank you. And of course, Hugo, you and I go way back.
Oh, yeah.
I still remember fondly the first time I went to Paris with my wife, Bianca. You so graciously hosted us. We were sleeping at your flat, I think, in the 11th, or
exactly.
Which arrondissement was it at?
Yeah, it was around the Bastille place.
Yeah, that's right. And, I have to say, I kind of begun my journey, of course, being influenced by what you were doing at that time with the Parisian Gentleman.
Wow.
And it's hard to imagine, 12 years later, how much your work has grown. And
to be honest, Kirby, first of all, thank you. We're very happy to be here. We know Kirby's together. I think we know each other since 12 years, I would say.
At least 12 years,
it's difficult because
he
was a boy when
sure
we started.
Was.
And I remember you and your wife, Bianca,
lost in Paris.
really doing taking this brand from the ground up. I remember you exhibiting some hangers at the beginning. So I want to congratulate you because we are in your new premises here. And I was saying to Sonya, I said, can you believe this guy? I saw him, he was in his mid-20s, late 20s. You were just married or about to marry.
Married,
And from this great idea, you were saying at the beginning, you tailored your suits, why don't you tailor your hangers?
Yeah.
And that was a brilliant idea. And from this, you managed to build some brand, which is very significant now in our world. So first of all, I want to congratulate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's very impressive for us to see all this fantastic journey as an entrepreneur that you did.
Well, it's fun to do it with friends, and that's what I love most about this industry is the fact that, most of us that are all, in it know each other, and first and foremost are good friends, supporting one another, kind of as we each kind of go through our own journey.
Yes.
And, I've always been thankful and appreciative of the support that, you two have lent. And it's great to be kind of sitting here together filming, for the Kirby Allison YouTube channel, which is now pushing, 600,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Sometimes it's hard
Congratulations.
to believe.
We are little in comparison to him, huh?
Yes, you really have taken off. And I remember you were so generous from the onset. You were doing a lot of lives, and I think you did a live with us when we were in the forest,
one of the COVID lockdowns.
One of the first COVID lockdown episodes. It was very in and out because we were in the forest, but you hung in with us, and we always appreciate your generosity.
Yeah, you guys were in Georgia at that time, weren't you?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. We still have, Sonya is from Georgia originally. So this is always an adventure.
Georgia, the state, not the country.
The state, not the country, the state, Atlanta.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I was saying Atlanta.
Yeah.
But everyone said, no, Atlanta.
It's kind of like Missouri and Missouri.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we hear, and can you imagine for me how it's was a shock?
Yeah.
At the beginning
I can imagine.
To go to the dollar store.
Yeah, that's right.
Not even half dressed.
Yeah.
And people were looking at us like, are you falling from the moon?
Yeah, you lost.
It's very funny.
You remember that, right?
He had a hard time understanding the dialect, but I think you're good now. I think you've got it.
Well, hello, y'all.
Yeah.
I can say that now, and I have a little bit of a southern accent.
Well,
so anyway, it's a blast, ladies and gentlemen, to be with Kirby, because there's something that you said that I'm very sensitive about, is that when I started Parisian Gentleman in 2009, we were not a lot of bloggers at the time, and then we started Sartorial Talks, our YouTube channel, and Discussion Sartorial in French in 2017. And since the inception of everything, I said always to Sonya, listen, on the internet, we don't have competitors.
Yeah.
We have colleagues.
That's right.
Because we are so few people to preach for a more elegant world.
Yeah.
We are maybe I would say, significantly 10 people in the world.
Well,
so why are we going to fight to each other? I don't care. I'm so happy that you are twice bigger than us now on YouTube, and I found it incredibly uplifting even for us, because if you have competitors on the internet, it means you don't understand what internet is.
That's right.
I don't know if you've noticed too, we've seen a lot of the classic style enthusiasts in their 20s, a lot of younger gentlemen coming into the fold, and I'm not sure if you've seen the same thing or not. What demographics are you seeing?
I think one of the interesting things about, kind of our space is how, it really cuts such a broad cloth, right?
Yes.
I mean, from young people to old people, across all socioeconomic levels, across all geographies. And I think that, this is one of the things I know that you speak about a lot on sartorial talks that, I'd like to kind of get into more here, is how dressing up and dressing well is really more of a psychology than anything else. And, there's a certain just, enjoyment that I think can be found in making the effort to shave in the morning, to put on a nice pair of clothes, to tying a tie, to shining your shoes. And there's nothing moral about it. There's no right or wrong. You don't have to be at a certain level in order for it to count. It's about the effort. It's about taking the pride, and it's about the enjoyment, and really ultimately at the end of the day, the self-respect one shows in going to those lengths.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more to what you say. May I just add a few things? We are discovering, we just noticed with Sonya since I would say 3-4 years, that of course there's an army of young guys discovering, and they are in awe and said, oh, I couldn't believe that behind this, suits and ties and shoes there so much craftsmanship. But the thing that developed in the last 2 years, I would say, is that now most of these people, and I speak about the young gentlemen, they discover that it's much more than clothes. It's much more than wearing a tie. It's much more than being at your best. It's becoming almost a lifestyle.
It is.
And there's something that our society today lacks tremendously. It's the notion of exigence. That is to say, be exigent, be demanding with your own self, be demanding with others. And we've been losing in this society. I don't know what's the situation.
Expectations, or?
Well, I mean, it's just the thing is that maybe exigence is not the right word. Remember, I'm French. When you are demanding with your own self, you don't like mediocrity. So it means you have high standards. Okay, but high standards has nothing to do with money, social class. No, high standards is how you behave in your own life, and it's becoming more and more for us a lifestyle. That is to say, and on our channel, like on your channel, we are trying now to open a little bit the scope. I know you do a lot on cigars, we do a lot on wine, on champagne, on different subject now, on watches a little bit. So we're not specialists, but we try to really go a little bit to have a bigger picture, because now it is really becoming for a lot of young people a lifestyle. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, the question is why? I mean, why are these men in their 20s even interested in classic style? And we came up with a theory. Well, it really isn't our
What's
theory.
the theory? I want to hear it.
The theory is that the dads were dressing in like cargo shorts and sandals with socks, and which is kind of coming in too right now. It's a whole different subject. But the sons want to dress more like the grandfathers than the fathers. And I don't know if it's a natural rebellion or maybe a discovery of that culture, because it is a culture. And you just described all the different facets. And so this is our theory.
Well, I think there's real magic, and there is an intrinsic value in dressing up and taking oneself seriously. It's intrinsic, right? It is not temporal. It's not relevant only in a certain time versus another. I think it transcends culture. And so in America, I call it kind of the rebound equality, in that children, my age, who were children of the baby boomers, grew up with parents, who were all about consumerism. Bigger is better. Quality didn't matter, right?
Comfort is everything.
Comfort is everything. And that was what led to, just the incredible casualization of the 80s and 90s, right?
Even kind of a lazy society.
I really like that.
So I think that, children of my generation, whenever we became adults, began to search for meaning. There wasn't any meaning in that. And so I find that it produced this rebound equality of this search for meaning, of saying, I'm not going to buy many things, but I want to buy fewer things of a higher quality that were made by someone I know, using traditional techniques that have meaning. And I think that, at the end of the day, for me, one of the things I love most about bespoke, right, and really more than that, it's about the craftsmanship.
Of course,
is the fact that someone made it for you.
Yes.
Right, and they dedicated their lives to that craft. And in that product, you experience, that person's life and what they have to offer. And that to me is magic. I mean, having something made by someone for you in an authentic, an incredible way, gives so much more meaning to what it is you wear than going into an anonymous store and walking out with something that fits like a sack.
Of course.
That ties into your obsolescence of man article almost. If you want to talk about that, that's really interesting.
Well, I mean, it's an old article, but it's something that, first of all, what I want to say is that the three of us, we basically know, who made your shirt.
Yeah.
I know who made my shirt. You know who made your suit. You even know the hand who made your suit. Same for you. You know who made your tie, who made your shirt, who made your glasses even. Yeah. And that's something that changed the whole perspective. When you rediscover that there are people. People behind the products. It's insane that in this society, people have forgotten the fact that maybe behind everything they consume, there are people working. And this is also what probably the most beautiful gesture I like is exactly the same to you, but I'm obsessed always, and I ask this question so many times. Is there somebody behind the shirt I'm wearing? Is there somebody behind even the fabric that I'm wearing? And I love this idea in this virtual, digital world, which we don't criticize because we will not be here without the internet. But it's a paradox because on one side, everything is becoming very digital and virtual. But on the other side is our second theory of the obsolescence of man. I think there's a reaction to that. Do you know, for example, that all the high executive of Google, Amazon, they all put their kids in schools that are non-connected by definition, in which you use real pens. Can you believe that? Real pens with real paper and real chalkboard. And these are the people who invented the digital world. So I think that there is a reaction of the human being towards all this, I could say, consumerism, but also there's something, and I know Sonya is very interested by that, we relearn little by little to wait. And this is something that we have taught our generation. My generation, I'm from 1963, so I'm an older guy. So I was used to wait a little bit. We didn't have everything like that. But today the kids, they rediscover, they said, you're going to pay 3 times more? But you're going to wait 10 times more. There's a paradox. Normally, when you have the means, you can have everything instantly, but watch out. So many people, they love the idea to wait. Why? Because when you order a bespoke suit, or just even an made-to-measure suit, you have to wait like 4 to 6 weeks for a made-to-measure, and for a bespoke, we can count in years sometime. It gives you the time to dream about it, to expect it, and this is something that whatever is the size of your wallet,
makes it seem larger.
Yes, you can have this incredible experience. I'm dreaming of that.
It's a counterintuitive reaction.
Well, it's the anticipation.
Yes, it's very counterintuitive.
Normally you would be angry, right? That you have to wait so much, but it's in a counterintuitive reaction.
Well, as long as the wait time is consistent with the guaranteed delivery time. Expectations must be aligned.
Never tell your tailor, no rush.
I know, that's right.
Never tell your tailor, I have time. Never do that.
No rush.
Because you'll have your suit in 3 years.
Who knows? If you still fit in it by then, which is often, I think, one of the great challenges of COVID. But don't you also find that what accompanies that wait time is also its own experience?
Yes.
Right? The fittings, right? I mean, if you're someone that really enjoys the craft, I find that the fittings are actually a feature of the process versus something that's not.
Yes.
And so it's that journey. It's like going on a cruise. It's like going on a trip. The journey is more important than the destination.
Of course.
And I find with bespoke, of course, you can take it too far and it can be too long, right? But provided that it's within reason. The multiple fittings, the opportunity to see it come together from a first fitting to a second fitting to a forward fitting, to me is part of the part of the value of the process.
Of course.
And I'm sorry, I can't help but go back to this obsolescence of man, because I know you ran a marathon, right? And there's one.
I ran one.
but you did it, right?
Much to my tailor's regret. You know?
Because you have the trains, planes, automobiles. I mean, you're inundated with this instant transportation. So this is one example of the obsolescence of man. You went back to using your legs for transportation. And so it's the same thing with suits, this mass-produced and just industrialized suiting that we've just been inundated with. Eventually, you are going to crave how it was done before.
Yeah.
And so this is the idea.
And this is the paradox of the internet, though, is that in many ways, I feel like the internet has allowed this incredible democratization of the craft.
Of course.
Because think about what you do, through sartorial talks and through your books, and then what we do kind of on our YouTube channel in terms of, really opening the curtain, right? Lifting the veil, if you will, of a craft that was otherwise hidden in plain sight.
Lorenzo
and that has allowed
Cifonelli,
people to build, the appreciation.
Lorenzo Cifonelli, during COVID, came at home to do a show with us.
Okay.
He's my historical tailor. I'm wearing my last suit by
It's
him.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the shoulder.
Yeah.
The shoulder, of course.
Hard to miss. Yeah, you can
but
see it
he
from
was
across
telling
the
me
room.
something very interesting. He said, Hugo, I think that people like you, Kirby, and a few others on the planet, you really not only revived, but maybe somehow saved our craft. So I don't have the pretension of saving anything, but coming from his mouth, because he said, when I started in the 1990s, I was the 4th generation with my cousin, and we had like 200 clients, but I was the same family since generation after generation after generation.
Your father introduced you.
Yeah, from father to son. And he said, when I was thinking about what I'm going to do in 15 years, because I could see, even at Cifonelli, one of the most iconic bespoke maker in France and in the world, he was saying to me, we didn't have any vision of the future. And then people like you, like Kirby, like Simon, like a few others in the world, like Bruce Boyer, all these people came. Bruce, not on the internet, that's something different. But you came, and all of a sudden, not only we are not serving 200 or 300 people, but 1,000 now.
It's amazing.
And then now we have to refuse.
And it's that dramatic. I mean, the number of clients that they've...
Well, it's incredible.
More than that.
They may not be ordering as much, right? But you have more diversification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he says that the number of clients, now he have younger clients.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the usual guys who are ordering 10 or 15 suits because they were rich and everything. Now he got some guys who've been saving 3 years to have a suit.
Yeah, we see that on the channel all the time.
Personally, I find this extraordinary. I find this so touching, and I find this so uplifting. It gives me also almost hope for the future.
Yeah.
And so we need to jump back and recognize Ask Andy, because I think he started
that's
everything,
where it all
right?
started, Ask Andy about clothes.
Yeah, you're right.
That's crazy. And Lorenzo even mentioned back then was the beginning of being a tailor becoming glamorous. Okay.
That was such a long time ago.
That was grassroots, right? And that's a funny
like
thing.
1998, 1999.
Something like
Was it then?
Oh.
Was it
I
then?
remember of Ask Andy. Then you had
suitable
Will
wardrobe.
Buckler, the suitable wardrobe.
Oh, yes, that's
Then you
right.
had the London Lounge. You remember the London Lounge? You were not born, maybe.
Well,
Kirby.
I was never allowed onto the London Lounge because they were so strict in who they gave access to.
No way.
And they wouldn't allow people in the trade to be on the London Lounge.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't remember the name of the guy. It's Michael something.
Something, yeah. He's based here in America, isn't he?
Well, I don't know, but those people.
It's a total mystery. He's like, he like lives by a pseudonym.
And Andy's Andy Gilchrist?
Gilchrist, yeah.
Yeah. But I think this guy, it was at the beginning of the internet, and he got some trouble with his server, and he lost all his forum. That was a weird question.
That
but
was Andy.
it's a good way to pay him a tribute.
Yeah.
Because he was a pioneer.
No, I mean, the Ask Andy About Clothes is what, set me off on this journey. I mean, we can take it even farther back than that. But, I mean, it was Ask Andy About Clothes that first opened me to this world. And it was Alexander Cabaz, who's a crazy shirt maker from New York, that was on Ask Andy.
I didn't know that.
And I still remember, the 15-page article he wrote about how you make a bespoke shirt. And I think it was that article that just blew me away.
That
That's something that I'd never considered could have so much that goes into it at the highest level. And it's like that everywhere, and that was the rabbit hole that I jumped down.
And does it still exist, Ask Andy? I don't know.
It's still there, yeah.
It's like an archive.
You know, Andy is like well retired and, you know, I think in Palm Springs, you know, California playing golf.
But I'm so happy we paid a tribute to him because he was the first.
He was, yeah.
And then after the Style Forum.
The Style Forum,
and everything.
The early days of Style Forum.
Yeah, the early days. But what is interesting is that I started in 2009 and then Sonya joined me in 2011. And at this time, we really had the impression to preach in the desert. That is to say, hey guys.
Sometimes it still feels like
try
that.
to dress up. You know, we all deserve a more elegant life for many reasons. We can't even have the time to go through for even if we speak for 3 or 4 days. We will not. Don't worry. But it's something that it became. I lost my
That's
train
okay,
of thought.
but the funny thing is, even then, when we were all neophytes, there was this hardcore group of like 500 men who like they looked at us like we were babies, you know. But we grew from them, and that's really a nice story. And with Lorenzo, he said finally when he said. What his occupation is, he felt like he was actually glamorous for a change. Before it was like, not such a big honor to say I'm a tailor.
It's kind of like the celebrity chefs. I mean, you've got celebrity
That's a good
tailors.
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't forget Massimo. I'm sorry, I'm going to let you say, but Massimo is always not mentioned with Lorenzo, and he is actually the technical genius, and Lorenzo is the creative genius.
Yeah.
I give you a secret.
Go on, please.
Sorry. It's a little secret I never told anybody. When I started Parisian Gentleman, I was a customer at Chiffonelli. And I bought, so I was not rich, but I could afford 1 or 2 bespoke suits per year.
Yeah.
You know, I was in film production and everything. And then, one day, I decided to create Parisian Gentleman, you know, I mean, like with no goal at all. And then it took off quite quickly, with a few articles, and I started to write on my experience at Chiffonelli, and I didn't tell them. And so they discovered, like a year later, one day Lorenzo came to me and said, Hugo, a guy told me that Parisian Gentleman, it's you. But I said, yeah, of course it's me. And said, you never told me. I said, no, because in my mind, I didn't want the experience to be biased by the fact that I was writing on you. So nobody knows this story. Lorenzo remembers very well.
Luckily, one can only write, you know, favorably, you know, towards Lorenzo and Massimo.
Exactly. But it's a funny story, and so and since then he remained my principal tailor. Let's say.
And he's a good close friend of yours as well.
It's almost our family, almost.
But you are in London a lot now.
Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today's video was brought to you by KirbyAllison.com, where you'll find the largest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed, like this sovereign-grade necktie, pocket squares, braces, socks, and so much more. So if you enjoy the content that we film on this channel, make sure you visit KirbyAllison.com.
So this is sort of your territory now.
Well, London is, you know, I've always had an affinity towards London. And, you know, just in the same way that you started in Paris because you lived there.
Yes.
You know, our work in London, you know, really begun just because it's where I was spending the most time. Yes. And I think, you know, probably also in part because, you know, where we first got into this was really around shoes. And, you know, the United Kingdom is kind of the capital, the epicenter of, you know, handmade shoes.
Northampton.
Well, Northampton and then the bespoke shoes in London. And so it just kind of evolved that way. And I have to say, I really have really enjoyed and cherished the people that we've met and that we've been able to film with. And just like with you, you know, the channel was, you know, really just an opportunity for us to share with others what it is that I've loved so much. And so if I had a tailor coming into the office or a bespoke shoemaker, it was like, well, let's film this, let's put this on the channel. And, you know, people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but we have to add something immediately because people may think, they said, okay, these three people, they can afford bespoke tailoring, they can afford bespoke shoemaking. It's a lot of money. Sometimes with Sonya, we look at ourselves and say, can you believe that with what we wear, we can buy a car maybe? You know, yes.
Well,
and it's a little bit, it's a little bit strange. But I want to put things straight in the mind of people. Is that we have an enormous amount of young guys in France who discovered to start the second-hand or the made-to-measure, and I've seen kids finding chiffonellis from the 60s on eBay, whatever, vintage, you know, this kind of second-hand for $50.
That's amazing.
This is amazing. So you know, I want to really stress that point that when young people say, "Oh, my dream is to go bespoke," I said to them, "Okay, go slowly. Start with the MTM. Start with second-hand. The best thing you have to find, the most important partner you have to find in your life, is an alteration tailor. This is, and when you found it, don't share with others because
then they get too busy.
Yes, and that's the case. There's a few in Paris, they can't take orders anymore because they are too busy. So what I want to say is that we are talking about here is not unreachable for the vast majority of the people. On the contrary, we never had in the history so much possibilities to dress well, no matter what budget you have. Of course, if you want to go to Chiffonelli, to Comte de Luca, on Savile Row, or to the highest level of Italian tailoring, Caraceni, Rubinacci, all these people, of course you have to have some firepower. But it doesn't mean that you can't start your sartorial journey step by step, as I did, as you did, and little by little. So it's for everybody, because so many people say, "Oh, these guys, because they're rich, they're superficial." I like this word. You're superficial.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Nietzsche used to say.
It's funny how people say that whenever they've never met you. You know,
yes. But I don't know if you know this German philosopher Nietzsche. He used to say the antique Greeks, the Greek philosopher, were superficial because they were deep. Yeah. Because without deepness, you can't have a surface. I like this idea that, and on top of that, superficiality means lightness. We live in a very heavy world. We live in a world where everything is so serious, so scary, so stressful, with the sanitary crisis, with the war everywhere, and a little bit of lightness, a little bit of added beauty in your life, a little bit of self-care makes your life more interesting.
Well, I think it's an interesting point in that it can be taken too seriously, right? And so, you know, in this world, you know, there's really nothing, you know, one should obsess over too much. And I think, you know, maybe we were all guilty of that whenever we first started this journey of obsessing too much. But I think as you kind of mature in your journey in menswear, at a certain point, like, you step back and you relax. And you know, one of the greatest virtues of classic menswear is the simplification of your life. And I think that men, ultimately, that is what we're after, is removing superfluous decisions. And whenever you invest in a quality wardrobe, oriented around the classics, really at the end of the day, what you're doing is removing decisions from your life. I can walk into my closet blind and grab at random, and you know, most anything I select would work well together. I mean,
like Sonya when she's forgetting her glasses.
Her glasses.
She's the professional of that.
That's why it's all monochromatic.
She's the professional of that. Me, I must say, I'm still struggling with one item, but I love to struggle with it. Is that it was the ties? Because the ties and neckwear is a special animal. Because when you look at a tie on the rack, you say, "Oh, I'm never going to be able to pull this off." You know, it's too. And then when you put it on, say, "Oh, it works."
Well, this is what I love. I love those ties that surprise you. Right. I mean, we've had this, and we've got our sovereign grade ties. And, you know, I'll be buying something, right, you know, from the swatches of silk, and then we'll have it made, and I'll be like, what was I thinking? And then I'll put it on because, you know, it's my job to kind of wear these things, and then I'll be so blown away. You know, we've got this one dark navy and gold jacquard tie. And I looked at this, and I was like,
it's
gold.
Very bold.
Gold, bold. I was like, what was I thinking?
What did you wear it with?
You know, and then I mean, I could wear it with this. I mean, and then you knot it up and you put it on an outfit, and it just glows, and it's this beautiful, elegant tie that I never would have suspected that I would enjoy. Now it's one of my favorites. Or we just got these new. This is another jacquard. We've got a brown version of this.
Beautiful tie.
And the brown one, I was like, but I kind of needed brown. And then I put it on. I was like, this is
and it really worked.
Gorgeous. And so, that's the fun of menswear, is the experimentation.
So fun.
We can't all be Nick Fowkes. It's like, we've got, we have an entire video we filmed with him on how not to dress like a funeral director. Because I was accused in one of my comments of dressing too much like a funeral director from the 1960s.
Yes.
And someone very kindly suggested I reach out to Nick, and maybe he'd be able to help me. So we filmed an entire series on this, and I have to say it was a brilliant video.
It's a clever angle.
Yeah.
You can also do the opposite. You see a beautiful tie, and you take it, and then you can't find anything to wear it with, and it looked so good.
Yeah.
When it was displayed, and so the opposite can also be.
And
very,
you've got to be
strange.
You've got to be
Very strange.
open to the fact that you'll have both, right?
Yes,
right,
but at the same time, you will notice very quickly that you are okay with, I would say, me, I don't know how many ties I have.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot. But I'm using probably the same 10 constantly.
Yeah.
And in me, I go even further on the pocket square. I have hundreds of pocket square, but I always wear my rusty pocket square
It's
by
always that
Simone
one. It's
Godard,
always
of
that
course,
one.
because it's a fantastic. What is funny, Kirby, is that all the people who are following us, they really think, for example, this morning I posted a picture. This is a new suit I received 2 or 3 days ago from Lorenzo Cifonelli in Paris. And one guy asked me, what is the size of your inseam on the leg? I mean, here on the. And I said, what? I have no idea, man.
Right, yeah.
The guy thinks that we are the Einstein of the sartorial world.
But
That we are.
some people are. Kirby would probably know the answer to that.
No.
But
I think if you know the answer to that, then like
You
you're taking it too serious.
You're like off. You've gotten lost.
Well, yeah, but what we just speak
you can
about.
take time to measure for
Of
somebody.
course, I can take time, but I like the poetry of it.
Sonya's gotten back to him, by the way, I'm sure.
I will, probably. I mean, if someone cares enough to watch us and read us, we can measure something.
But I think it misses the point, though, which is that if you're having something made by a craftsperson, by an artisan,
It's his job.
you defer to them. And there's a conversation, there's a give and a take, but the moment that you begin to micromanage their decisions by specifying a lapel width or saying that I want my inseam to be this measurement, you short-circuit the entire process. It's like someone going to Picasso or Monet and telling them exactly what they wanted them to paint. They wouldn't have been masterpieces.
Of course. And it's the same in music, and it's the same. So at the moment, it becomes mathematics.
Yeah.
You're no more on the sartorial journey. Because you lost, in my opinion, it can be for some
Mozart
people.
was a mathematician. But he was,
Johann Sebastian Bach.
I'm sorry,
Mozart.
Bach, not Mozart. Yeah, my bad.
He was a
Bach
mathematician.
was actually literally a mathematician.
Well, I think at the beginning of one's journey, right, there is, that phase where you kind of studied the details, right?
I did it.
And look, we all did it, right? And we're like, well, what is that, lapel
Thanks
width,
to Ask Andy, I remember very well. I was studying everything.
I think to take it back to the point that we made a few minutes earlier, though, is at some point you step back from that. Once you understand the rule, I mean, it's been said a million times over, is that first you have to learn the rules so that you can then break them, right?
Of course.
Once you understand the principles, right, of kind of how and why things work together, then you let go and you just, that's where the sprezzatura comes in.
Yes.
That's where it becomes your own personal style.
Right.
And at that point, hopefully, that's when you stop, really,
going too far?
Not going too far, but like, stressing yourself out too much over it. Like, at some point, like, you tie your tie and it may not be perfect, but you just, it's, I don't want to say good enough, but you're just like, this is kind of how the outfit came together, and you leave in the morning to go do something more meaningful.
Before I butchered the composer, I was trying to compare Bach to the Japanese, for example. So maybe they go far, but they still have that something really nice.
It's interesting. It is such an interesting.
Something, even though they're doing both. I don't know.
So let's talk about the Japanese. Let's do this for a moment. So, we're, of course, our channels have focused heavily on the continent, right?
Yes.
The Italian tailoring, French tailoring, English tailoring. But the Japanese are a formidable, influence out there.
Yeah.
But they're still different, though. And I'm curious how you would explain that.
Well, I mean,
I have my.
Well, I've been. First of all, I've been. I know a lot of shoemakers.
Yeah.
There. Okay, we have the superstar Fukuda and all these people, but some more obscure people who are working.
Doing incredible work.
I'm sorry?
Doing incredible work.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's the same for tailoring. I've seen so many really sharp. I mean, sharp to the extreme. You know, even some Italian famous Italian tailors, they don't want to go to Tokyo anymore. Because the Japanese will take 3 days to choose one piece of fabric. And in terms of profitability, it's not possible.
Yeah.
My take on that is that, first of all, you have to understand that in Japan, they have a tradition called the living treasures. And I think we have the same in France now, but they were the first to do that. Okay, a guy who is a master craftsman to do katanas or to do whatever, glass or whatever, they are elevated at the rank of living treasures, which means they are the patrimony of the state. So it means that they are worshipping craftsmen almost to a degree which is incredible. I remember 7 years ago I did a film with Pierre Cortet. Oh, actually more than that. It was 2011.
Well, I saw that. I watched it in Paris.
You're right. And then we presented it in Paris. It was a film about me and a craftsman, very important, Pierre Cortet, who used to be the head of the Berluti workshop, and then now he has a name for himself, of course. Beautiful shoes, one of the best for me in terms of design and flair. And then we were presenting, it was a 33-minute film.
Yeah.
Me and him speaking about shoes and craftsmanship. And so we presented it in France, in London, in Dubai, in Hong Kong, and then we did it in Tokyo. And it was in a movie theater. And it's such a vivid memory for me because I was saying to myself, how can people will look 33 minutes at two French guys, so only with subtitles in Japanese, speaking about shoes for 33 minutes? They're going to be bored after 10 minutes.
He was very nervous.
I was very nervous. And then it was in a movie theater.
And
it was packed.
Sitting on the stairs.
I had the seat. And then the last guy opened the door. I gave him my seat. Yeah. And I sat on the stairs. It's a very interesting story. And then when you are a filmmaker, because that was a real film, you don't look at the public before 10 minutes. You don't dare to do this to see if the guy is going to sleep or is going to say, what is those two French people speaking? So after 10 minutes, listen to that. I was able to do this. And you know what I saw? I saw a guy crying. I saw a Japanese with tears.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot that had tears in their eyes. I said, these people are very special. They have this worshipping of the gesture, and they are so, linked to their traditions. That is something that we can't even understand. Yeah. It's altogether a different culture. Do you have something to add on
that was very well said. It just reminded me, I don't want to change subjects because that was such a beautiful description of the Japanese culture, but it was reminding me of the compagnon.
Yes.
In France, which is maybe not as high of a level,
well, but
also
idea.
The same type of passion that's expressed.
And the transmission. So the only problem is that they're very good at crafting for Japanese.
Yeah.
We don't have the same body at all. We don't have the same feet. That's a real problem for Japanese to put shoes on us because they have, I don't want to go into details, but Pierre Cortet himself and all the shoemakers, they say, when I have a Chinese or a Japanese coming, I know it's a nightmare for me as a shoemaker because they don't have any arch. They're very flat. And sometimes the feet are very big. It's just physiologically, it's like that. And it's the same for the suit because they're not used to dress taller people. Yeah. They're quite thin by nature. So it's a different culture. But for us today, this is probably the wonderland of sartorialism is Japan.
Yeah. A friend of mine, is a shoemaker, jokes that, if you want a properly made English shoe, find a Japanese person to make it. They're such great students of the craft.
Yes.
And they have such a precision to their execution.
Fantastic.
And all their stuff photographs beautifully for Instagram. I haven't had the privilege of having anything Japanese, made, so I can't speak to
actually,
what it's like.
But you're right, and usually the Japanese gesture is closing. It's the closer who does the final.
Who does the upper.
Yeah.
Right,
For
upper.
example, our friend Stefan Jimenez, that you know is for me one of the best, is a master. His wife is called Tomoe Furuta. She's from Japan. She's the upper maker. She's the one with a very delicate hand. She does all the uppers. All Paris wants to work with her because they are so. I mean, it's exactly for me. We need people like that, as well as we need also the reverse.
Yeah,
Napolitans.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is the point that I was I guess getting at, which is that there's a certain humanity in bespoke, or the bespoke craft, right? Because it's a person that's making it for you, and so. We all screw things up. We all get it wrong. None of us are perfect. We weren't created to be perfect, right? And I think that one of the ways that you honor the craft and the people in the craft is by recognizing the fact that there is humanity in what it is that's being made for you. And I think that, sometimes that means, accepting the fact that, something might be a little bit off or it may not be exactly how you ordered it, but that is the humanity in having something made for you by someone.
Yes.
And so there's no question that bespoke is better, it fits better, it's made better. There is a true utility to why it's made how it is. It's not, it's not handwork for the sake of handwork, which is something that, that I talk a lot about. There is a true purpose behind it. But there's also humanity, and that is what I think gives it the meaning. It's what gives it the hand feel. I mean, I don't know how you would describe that, but
what's the story about the vase? An Italian painting a vase?
Oh, that's funny. Okay. This story was told to me by Maurizio Marinella, the famous tie maker, as you know. Everybody knows Marinella. One day he explained to us, he said, okay, listen, you take a vase and you go to Japan or even to China, some high-level factory, and you ask craftsmen or workers to paint the vase exactly like this model. The Japanese, the Chinese, all of these people will do it to the perfection, like 300 times to the perfection. Okay. You give the same vase to somebody from Napoli, south of Italy. They will do it perfectly 2 times. And the 3rd time, they will not help but adding something of their own. Because they need to contribute. They need to express themselves.
They can't.
And it's difficult sometimes, but at the same time, the whole charm of, for me, Italian tailoring is in this sentence. They put something. I think they are by far the people who are putting the most of themselves.
Their soul into the work.
They put even sometimes the ashes of their cigarettes in the inside. I've seen it so many times. The old tailor with a cigarette is doing, and then the ash goes into the canvas. Oh, I said, is it a problem? He said, oh, no.
It's no different than tailoring chalk, it keeps the moths away.
No problemo. But we love these people, because it's a world of craftsmanship, but also it's a world of fantasy. It's a world of, I don't know how to explain.
There's romance to it. You want some surprise, right? You want someone that, that you don't know exactly what you're getting.
No.
And it's that surprise, I think, makes, certainly the Italians, what the Italians are.
Yeah. Actually, the French tailoring, if you just look at them, they're all from Italy. Cifonelli, they're from Rome. Counts De Luca, they are from Italy. Francesco Smalto, from Italy. Berluti, it's from Italy. So it's because, after the war, I don't want to go into too many explanations, but it's mainly the Italian. And so for me, you have the 2 biggest schools of tailoring is Great Britain,
English and Italian.
London, and Italian. And all the people always ask to me, why Kirby is only speaking about England, and why are you only speaking about French and Italian? I still don't know. Well, I have an idea. Do you have an idea why?
I don't know. What's your...
Well, first of all, I think that the relationship between the US and England, in terms, for example, Savile Row tailors are traveling to the US since decades.
Since literally the days of the steamers.
Yes, exactly. So it means that there's a long tradition of people in the USA being dressed by traveling tailors from Savile Row. That's the first explanation for me. The second explanation is that I think we French, I speak for us, we recognize ourselves more into an Italian suit or a French suit than in a British one. And it doesn't mean we don't like British tailoring. We love Savile Row. We know a lot of people there. Well, with maybe the exception of one guy that we really like is Michael Brown. He used to be the student of Joe Morgan, Chittle Morgan. He's doing some kind of very edgy, very close, in my opinion, to Chifanelli.
It's very kind of haute couture.
Yes, you know. I really like what he's doing. But for us, I think it's a matter of culture. We need, we need this panache, you know, and at the same time, this comfort that I can find more in Italy than in England. It doesn't mean that I don't like the English tailoring, but it's not, I think it's not for me as a person. I don't know how you can explain that, darling.
I mean, you can't explain something like that. It's just something that's intuitive. It's something that just who you are.
Yes.
And it doesn't need an explanation, in my view.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for example, that's a British suit,
Okay. This is from John Kent.
Okay.
Right, and this was made. John Kent was the Duke of Edinburgh's, the late Duke's lifelong tailor, and so this was kind of made very much in that image.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
But this is what I think is great.
And it suits your personality.
Yeah, and it does. It absolutely. And I think that. But this is what's great about the world of tailoring or the world of shoemaking, is that there's a flavor for everyone, right? And so much of the beginning of one's journey is traveling around, meeting people, and trying to discover really who it is that you just kind of click with. I mean, there has to be chemistry. Yes. If you don't enjoy and get along with your tailor, then the output is not going to be nearly as good as if that was not true. Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoy the content that we film here on this YouTube channel, one of the best ways that you can support our ability to film even more great content is by visiting KirbyAllison.com, where you'll find the largest collection of luxury garment care, luxury shoe care, and other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed. Also, we have a Patreon page where 100% of the proceeds from our Patreon go to our ability to travel in pursuit of this quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. So if you love the content, these are two great ways to support what you see here on youtube.com/KirbyAllison.
But we have to be fair, Kirby. Because since, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we speak about tailoring as if there was only France, England, and Italy on the map. This is not the truth. And we, with Sonya, we took this as our mission since, I would say, 2-3 years, to try to find new tailors everywhere in the world. We found some good people in Germany, for example. Me, at the beginning, German tailoring was a little bit, I'm sorry to say, boring, classic, but we found Detlef Dim, for example. Great guy, modern guy, with all handmade at home by himself, no workers.
Wow.
He just have a trouser maker. He's only able to make like 15 to 20 suits per year, that's it. Very interesting style. We found in Slovakia, probably the most impressive tailor we found outside of the three big countries, Maximilian Muchka, formerly the tailor of the opera in Vienna. He was doing costumes for the opera. This guy, I've been working under the communist, the party until the early 1990s, where they were liberated. So there are people who've been working hard, who've been suffering a lot. But the suits they are making, my friend, you have to take a look at that. You look at something like it's a film from the 1940s. It's incredible tailors. We found a guy in Poland called Tarachenko. It's an old man that she found. This is what we do every day. She's browsing thousands of jackets, and this one is good. She's obsessed. And there's Tarachenko we never met. We sent him clients, and we saw the results.
They've been sending us photos, right?
Oh my goodness! It was just absolutely beautiful. So it means there are.
Even in America,
yes,
of
course.
Well, Western wear, Lee Miller, boots.
Yes.
I mean, one of my great goals is to film a series here in Texas exploring the world of Western wear.
Yes.
Because the craftsmanship is incredible.
Yeah.
Or a friend of mine, he had a pair of shoes made in Poland by like a 92-year-old shoemaker.
In Poland?
In Poland.
Of course.
And
but in Poland you have Kielman, for example, is a great shoemaker in shoes. But what I want to stress to the people is that there's gems everywhere.
Yeah.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Well,
or Mexico,
there.
South America.
Exactly.
India,
Actually, India is a very interesting country with a lot of people. So it means that I wanted just to be fair with other people to say, okay, it's not only about France, England, and Italy, which are, let's say, the pillars.
Well, we talk about those because those are the big kind of centers. Those are the, the schools of tailoring.
Exactly.
And then, one of the other things I think that's important to speak about, just to be fair, and we touched about this a little bit earlier, is that you don't have to be at bespoke in order to enjoy what it is that we're talking about, right? I mean, it's not, look, if you can't have the best, don't have anything at all, or it's not worth trying.
It's not.
There's a lot of really incredible made-to-measure makers out there, doing work for the same price of what you'd buy something off the rack.
Or even less.
Yeah,
or less.
And more. 10 years ago, it wasn't the case. You couldn't get more than a 2-inch lapel.
So
now
much
you
choice.
can get so many more options available to you. And we recommend you don't go directly to bespoke.
Yeah.
We recommend you begin with made to measure because there's some lessons you need to know about your own body, about your own style preferences, about your own fit before you even move to that bespoke level and invest that sort of money.
Yeah.
That's something that we try to develop since, I would say, 2 years, and it's true. Mm-hmm. When people say, oh, where should I go? I said, well, start slowly.
Yeah.
You have to refine your taste. You have to understand who you are. So start with a good made-to-measure around $1,000, maybe $1,500, to have nice fabric. But train your eye. Train even your body to that. And then maybe you go bespoke after, of course, if you have an infinite amount of money on your bank account.
But you don't need
go
to.
directly.
But this is the point. This is the point, though, is that you don't need to. And like with shoes, I mean, we were speaking earlier about thrifting, right? I mean, I filmed a video with Max Fawkes where we went to Hornets Vintage in London.
Yes.
And completely not expecting to find anything. And I walked out with the most incredible cream suit that I've had ever encountered in my life, and it was made in 1981, so older than I am, by the James Bond's tailor, and
that's insane.
It was a completely happenstance
And you
find.
paid almost nothing.
Yeah, it was a few £100s, and it didn't need a single alteration. Now, this may not always be the experience, but it's certainly with a good alterations tailor, or in the case of shoes, a little bit of shoe polish can go an incredibly long way. We've got something called the $50 eBay challenge, where we challenge people to go find a pair of used shoes on eBay for $50.
Yes.
I like that.
And it's incredible what shoe
idea.
polish can do to a pair of worn out shoes.
Of course.
I mean, one man's neglected shoes with a little bit of care can be an incredible pair and can look better, well cared for, than a man's bespoke shoes.
Yes. And on top of that, the man, all of a sudden, it's a different man.
Different man.
We have so many experience of that. Shoes first.
Shoes first.
Shoes first, always. If you have a nice pair of shoes, all of a sudden, you're a different man.
Absolutely.
And I was invited on a TV show 2 years ago on French TV, and the anchor who was very famous in France, it was saying to me, but I think from that generation, he was speaking about the generation of today, he said, I think that maybe 80% of the young people, they don't know what it means to have leather shoes.
Yeah.
They don't know leather.
Yeah.
They don't know the impression it is all of a sudden to be, you have real shoes, the real pair of shoes. And this is once again, this is why I'm so happy that we have this conversation. It's because it's the heart of the subject.
Yeah.
It's not for a social class. It's not for a kind of people. It's not everybody has access to the sartorial world.
Yeah.
Okay, some people have the luck to enter by the real big door. I myself entered by the service door.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Because, I had no choice.
I mean, in college, I was buying secondhand shoes or shoes on
Exactly.
sale.
You did the same.
Me, I was reselling my shoes when I was 17.
And 30-second story, our implantologist from Chile came to visit us in Paris because he wanted to get started in the sartorial world. And the first thing he started with was shoes. When he put those shoes on, we were at Alton in Paris. And he was like, wow. And from then on, he never looked back.
Yeah. He's a professor.
$50, you said, from eBay.
I mean, a well-shined pair of shoes, a little bit of shoe polish can go a long way. And this is what was the fundamental thesis of the Hanger Project back 15 years ago, whenever we begun, which is that you can afford to invest in quality if you know how to take care of it. And that was the Hanger Project, is to teach people and to help people take care of their clothing so that they could justify investing in something of a little bit higher quality than they would have otherwise.
Yes, and that is another subject maybe we can wrap up on.
And can I just say the implantologist, was
implantologist for teeth. He was not an implantologist for, he was not implanting some butt on my, no.
You're Brazilian
teeth.
implantologist.
It's not
yes, I've heard of them before.
He's a professor. He's actually teaching at the
I couldn't figure out whether or not he was like, into plants or what. I was like, Well, I mean, I think it all comes back to quality, craftsmanship, and tradition.
Yes.
And it's something that we speak a lot about. Yes. And it exists everywhere at every quality level.
Yeah.
And you can afford to invest in quality if you know how to take care of it and if you understand what it is. Right, and there's a degree, of course, of education that has to take place. And then, of course, sartorial talks, and then the Parisian Gentleman, of course, where it all begun.
Yeah. For me, the heart of the subject and the heart of the message that we are, I was about to say desperately want to exchange with people, but no, we are doing it almost on a daily basis, is that this road is open for everybody. Yeah. This road is not the road for kind of illuminated people who think that wearing a tie is mandatory. I don't wear a tie every day, but I try to be at my best every day, depending on the occasion. And third, which is related to the first one, it has nothing to do with your social class, with the thickness of your wallet. If you're a little bit crafty, if you educate yourself with Flutter, with our books, with a few others, if you follow Kirby Allison YouTube, you're going to have the education you need, but please never think that is not for you. It can be for you, and it can pay tremendous dividends in your life.
Well, this, I think, goes back to the fundamental thesis of the Hanger Project, which was that you can afford to invest in quality if you know how to take care of it, right? And so that was how we started, was, basically helping men take care of what it is that they purchase so that they can justify spending a little bit more money. And, I always talk about the three-dimensional optimization curve. It's time, money, and knowledge, right? And so, you can not have a lot of money, but you can have time and knowledge, and you tweak those variables, and you can end up with something of a much higher quality and a much higher value.
I agree.
And that, to me, is what makes it fun. That's the journey, and that's the pursuit. And so that's, of course, what it all is, what we've all been after.
Exactly.
So Hugo, Sonya, thank you so much for
so much fun.
Coming all the way to Dallas. And
Anytime.
It's the people that makes this fun. And, of course, I'm so grateful to you, Hugo and Sonya, for your friendship and for just, being able to enjoy this journey alongside both of you. So we have to do our walking tour one day.
Yes.
And
maybe we choose Napoli, but we have to discuss this. We can do a walking tour together.
I think we might have to spin the wheel or something because, regardless of where it is, I think in good company it would be great fun.
That's a good idea. And do they say y'all in Texas, or is it just Georgia?
No. Definitely the y'all is part of the vernacular.
Can I try to say bye-bye, y'all?
Yeah, that's right.
I try to speak like a real American.
Hugo, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Anytime.
Sonya.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.